So as you find your seat here, take a moment to just soften your gaze, perhaps close your eyes, and begin to deepen your breath. And see if you can feel the areas of the body touching your mat. Tune in to any sensations noticeable at the start of your practice. And do your best to just let the thoughts flow through you without getting too caught up in any particular thought. You might bring your awareness back to your breath. And see if you can lengthen your breaths both in and out. Stay with those slow, intentional breaths for a few more cycles. Noticing if you can grow slightly taller on your inhale. Allow your shoulder blades to relax as you exhale. You might even pause for a moment at the very top of the breath in. And without straining the breath, slowly exhale out the nose, mouth. Do that again. Deep breath in through the nose. Take a moment to hold the breath. And then completely exhale. Last round. Breathe in through the nose. Moment to pause. And then release the breath completely. Chin can lower to the chest at the end of that exhale. Get right into our half neck circles. So taking your ear toward one side and then all the way through to the opposite shoulder. And continue a few more rounds. Noticing what your body needs. And that might mean expanding into full neck circles, allowing the chin to lift up, the throat to broaden. You're doing your best to do that without creasing the back of the neck. So kind of telescoping the head up toward the sky, even as you look up and back. And once you've gone a few times one way, spin the other way. And then you might take a few breaths here with your ear to the left shoulder, right hand by your hip. We're going to start with just some easy movements at the wrist. So up and down, going toward your end range in either direction. You can also play with creating a fist and drawing circles with your wrist. And really articulate that movement. Take it all the way around the joint rather than fly through it. Perhaps move a little more slowly. Turn the other way. You can also spin from the upper arm. Fingers can be spread wide. You also have the option to keep your palm facing forward, reach the fingers back, and as you breathe in, lift up through the chin. So you're creating even more space along the front side area of your neck. You can rotate the gaze to look down toward the left hip and tuck your chin toward the shoulder. So feeling a little more, excuse me, stretch at the back of your neck. With an exhale, release. Frog in my throat. And then we'll take it to the other side. So rocking the ear to the other shoulder. And then starting with those movements of the wrist up and down a few times. Perhaps making a fist and drawing those slow, intentional circles all the way around. Maybe hearing some snap, crackles, and pops. And taking it the other way. And maybe rotating through the upper arm with the fingers nice and wide. And you might turn the palms forward, fingers reach back, and lift the chin on your next breath in. Perhaps you stay there or swivel the gaze down toward the earth and take a couple more breaths. And then we'll exhale and release, hands to the lap, chin to chest. Inhale and look all the way up toward the sky. And with your exhale, lower the gaze, chin to the chest. Once again, deep breath in, lift up. And exhale, lower. We'll take a few rounds of seated cat-cow. So as you breathe in, lift your chest. You can let your hands kind of come closer to the body, hug your elbows in toward the ribs, and slide the shoulder blades down the back. Lift up through the chin here. And then do the opposite. So round your spine, hands can slide down toward the knees. I like to lean back here to really broaden that space between the back of the shoulder blades. Chin can tuck, tailbone tucks. And then option to go between those shapes with your breath. Inhale as you lift the heart, and exhale as you round your spine. And just keep it going. You can, of course, hold either shapes for a few breaths if you prefer. Couple more. Go ahead and finish that exhale. And we'll come to a neutral spine. We'll take a few circles with your ribs. So think about your rib cage leading the movement here. Over to one side, forward with the heart, over to the other side, and then pull the belly in like cat pose here. And keep circling a few times one way. You might even be shifting your weight from one sitting bone to another. Really tracing the entire edge of the circle. Added bonus, massage those internal organs. Good for the digestive system. And then spin the opposite way a few times. And then you can start to make those circles slightly smaller. And smaller. And then find that point of equilibrium where everything is stacked nice and long. You can reach up through the hands, ground down through the sitting bones. Take a nice long inhale. And then exhale, rotate to the left. Your arms can stay wide here with palms facing away from you. Notice if that back shoulder blade can relax farther down the back. And then you can take that front arm and cross it over to the opposite thigh. Take another inhale, elongate spine, then use your core to cinch the belly in, deepen the twist, maybe look toward the back thumb. Next breath in, reach up, face the front, and then go ahead and rotate the other way. So spinning from above the belly button here, hands might stay wide. That front arm might come across toward the opposite thigh. Once again, pay attention to that back shoulder blade. Is it creeping up by your ear? See if you can relax it farther down the back while opening the upper chest. And taking those nice full belly breaths. With an inhale, we'll reach up and face forward. And then rock over to one side. Take a few breaths there. Notice how much you can press down through both sitting bones while lengthening through the top ring finger. And if that bottom shoulder is kind of jammed up by your ear, go ahead and bend the bottom arm. Create some space between your shoulder and ear. You might add some arm circles at the top, so thumb toward the back, palm up to the sky at the top, and then you're going to flip the palm back down as you reach all the way across. This one's nice to sync with the breath. You can inhale as you reach up and overhead, and exhale as you sweep across your body. Do one more. And then float through to the other side. And take a couple breaths to hang there. Once again, notice if you can encourage your breath to open up those muscles between your ribs, not just upper chest. And if you want to add your arm circles here, start with the thumb to the back, palm up to the sky, and then flip the palm down as you come all the way around. Couple more, nice and slow. And then option to float from one side to the other a few times, just warming up that lateral motion in the spine. Use your breath in to come back through center and exhale as you tilt. Maybe one more time. And then find yourself back at center for a moment to just pause. We'll come to hands and knees next. So find all fours. Spread your hands nice and wide, hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. You have the next few breaths to just warm up the body here. So round the hips in circles is an option. Again, you can take it slow and really articulate that movement all the way around the edges. Circle. Toes can also tuck as hips rock forward and back. You can also go side to side with the hips nice and low. Perhaps notice how it feels to tuck the tailbone down toward the heels here and create more space in the low back, that lumbar area of your spine. Yeah, a couple more breaths for freestyle here, moving how you please. And then let's take just a minute here to get into our wrists. So thumbs can turn to the top of the mat, taking your fingers to the left and right. Hands are about under your shoulders. They can be a little bit closer here as you rock from side to side. And it can be helpful to let your chest just drop down to the ground. Let your shoulder blades slide in toward one another at your back. And the head completely relaxes here. Keep going with this movement. You can also pause and turn the fingers in the direction of the knees. Thumbs might rotate to those outer long edges of the mat. Don't feel like you have to go all the way around here. And you might rock the hips just a little farther back if you're looking for more intensity. Do the opposite if it's too much already. Cat and cow in the spine with your hands here. You can always rewind the hands back to where we started. Couple of breaths. And then release your hands, shake out the wrist. You do have the option for one more here. So we'll reverse what we were just doing. Palm to the sky, back of the wrist all the way on the ground. Fingers are either pointing in the direction of your knees or to the other hand. And you can play with opening the fingers and closing them a few times. And then switch it out, other side. If you've done both sides, let's release that. We're going to take a moment on the knees. If you want to pad the knees, you can. If you prefer to sit on blocks, also an option. Otherwise, you can take your arms nice and wide with a breath in. And as you exhale, give yourself a hug. So grab opposite shoulders. You can totally stay here. Another option is for eagle arms, where you press the forearms together. Some of you might cross at the palms as well. Notice if the elbows are kind of down in toward the body. Instead, lift the elbows in line with your shoulders. Your thumbs are kind of crunched by your face. Pull them away from the forehead. Lift up and squeeze the arms with a breath in. As you exhale, think about reaching the elbows away from the body and rounding through the upper back. We're going to repeat that. Deep breath in, squeeze the arms, lift the gaze. Exhale, start to curl the upper spine. Once again, inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, keep lengthening elbows away from you to broaden the upper back. This time, inhale, take the arms nice and wide. Remember which arm you had on top. We're going to do the opposite. So take the other arm and cross and either hold opposite shoulders. Maybe the forearms connect, and if so, you're squeezing arms together, and perhaps palms touch. So one's not better than the other. Honor where you're at. Take an inhale, lift up and look up as you squeeze the arms together. And then exhale, find that rounding in the upper back. 2 more, moving slow and with your breath. Last one, deep breath in, long exhalation. And then inhale, take the arms nice and wide. Just an option here. You can cactus the arms and stay there if you prefer. You can also clasp your hands behind your back. If that feels like a lot, feel free to bring your strap into play here or hold opposite forearms. Wherever you're at, you're trying to encourage that opening in the front of the upper chest. So knuckles can reach down, chest can float up. This is a really nice way to counter all the hunching you might find yourself inadvertently doing in front of your devices. You can even lift the chin slightly, but remember, we're trying not to crunch the back of the neck. And another option here is to fold from your hips with an exhale, drawing the crown of the head down toward the earth. If it does come onto the ground, keep the weight on the head light. Arms are reaching up and over as much as feels good in your body. And breath is long and slow. When you're ready to come out of it, rewind and inhale. You can release the hands, and you might take a moment to sit back on the heels or a block. Palms can face the sky for just a couple of breaths. And I invite you to close your eyes. Notice any sensations here. It can be a tingling or lightheadedness. Just give yourself a moment. And then you can transition into embryo pose or child's pose. Embryo pose, legs stay closer together. Arms will come back along the sides of the hips. Front of the arms are heavy here, falling down toward the ground. Head is also relaxed and supported, maybe by a block, pillow, or the earth. You're finding those big breaths into the back of the body, even with the restriction of the belly on the thighs. Add a little wiggle side to side, massaging that third eye center between your eyebrows. And maybe a little wiggle in the hip. Feel free to remain in embryo pose or transition into extended child's pose by widening your knees, reaching the arms all the way through to the top of the mat. And you can choose arms relaxed and just passively melting into the earth, or actively reach through the fingertips. Elbows might lift off the ground. Walk your fingertips far away from you if you can. And maybe lead from one palm into the other, adding a little rotation or so. You can add that rotation in just the forehead, perhaps a wiggle in the hip. If you're not yet in extended child's pose, you're invited to take the knees wide and reach the arms out long. This time you can turn the palms up toward the sky and see how it feels to actively reach the fingers away from you. Simultaneously press the palms into the earth. And without moving the arms, feel like you're trying to drag your arms in toward the body at the same time. Keep that activation. We're going to keep left palm facing up, but the right fingertips are going to flip back down to the ground. You're going to slide them closer to the right knee. Use the right hand to press down into the ground and then turn your chest away from the earth while getting heavy on that bottom forearm. Your head might be floating here in the same position as the spine, or it might be kind of resting on that bottom arm. Your call. Another breath. As you breathe in, reach both arms out long, palms face up. And then keep the right palm facing the sky. Come onto the left fingertips and take the left fingertips closer to the left knee. Use the left hand to press down and spin the chest away from the ground. Yeah, notice how it feels to find that lengthening out the bottom fingertips while simultaneously trying to drag the arm closer to you. Breathing deeply. And then inhale back through center, palms are up or down. And then perhaps arms bend here at the elbows with the fingertips or palms touching and thumbs shifting closer to the back side of your neck. You might see how it feels to shift your weight from one arm to the other. Head stays relaxed. And then release back through to all fours. Hands under shoulders, knees beneath your hips. And we're going to start with the left leg all the way to the back of the mat, toes grounded. You can wake up the feet here with some forward motion. And then here we're going to play with a little balance. So float that back leg to about hip height. Go ahead and wiggle the foot at those rotations, the ankle. And then flex the back toes down toward the ground, even the pinky toe. Reach the opposite arm forward if you like. And for more support, those fingers can be on the earth. Lengthen breath and body here. So notice if the low back is doing the work, you might be kind of sagging the belly here and arching the back. If that might be you, pull the belly in, press the earth away, and really find kind of a hollow body position here. So core is working. All that back body muscles are working. And then we're going to slowly release back to hands and knees. Go ahead and wiggle that out. Cat and cow might feel good. We're going to do the other side next. So right foot can step back with the toes on the ground. Stretch the back of the leg and then wake up those muscles in your feet. Then we're going to lift the leg to hip height. Rotate through the foot. And then toes flexing down toward the ground. So here you might peek at the foot and notice if your toes are turned out a little bit. Point even the pinky toenail down toward the ground. Front of the hips pointing to the earth. And then opposite arm might reach out long. This is kind of a kneeling version of Warrior 3, which we'll be playing with. Notice how this feels in your body. If you can find that nice point of equilibrium. Again, if your back is sagging here, you're going to feel low back probably working harder than it needs to. So pull the belly in, press the earth away, reach through the heel and fingers. Make sure you're still breathing. Lots going on. Go ahead and lower back to all fours. Wiggle it out. Maybe this time with some sideways cat-cow, peeking over your shoulder toward your tail. And then rocking through to the other side. Couple more breaths. So another one we're going to play with later in class is half moons. I want you to see what a kneeling version of that feels like. So same starting position. Let's send the left leg to the back of the mat. And then you might kind of bring your right foot slightly out as a little bit of a kickstand here. You're going to take your right hand slightly out in front of you to the right corner of the mat. And then you can start with the left fingertips on the earth, but try to keep the weight in the left hand light. So float that back leg. Toes start by pointing down toward the ground. And then think about rotating the left hip to stack on top of the right. And so you're turning your toes now of the floating leg to point to the long edge of the mat. And then we're going to rewind back to where we started. So front of the hip points point down toward the ground. Toes rotate toward the earth. And then roll your left hip to stack on top of the left. Maybe do that one more time. So front of the hips face the earth to begin. And then roll the hip open. So front of the hips point toward the long edge of the mat. Maybe take the left hand off the ground and maybe even onto the left hip. So your chest is turning more toward the long edge of the mat. Your glutes are working here. A lot's going on. It's like harder than it might look. And then you're going to slowly release back to all fours. Do what you got to do to shake it out. If this feels like a lot on your wrist, I'll show you a version on your forearm for the other side. So if you've got two blocks, ideally, you're going to set up both stacks on top of each other. And you don't want them so close underneath you. You want them a little out in front and a little out to the side. So you've got a little more of a base. This time, we're going to step right toes to the back of the mat. Maybe take the other foot slightly behind you like a kickstand for more support. And then again, you're getting lighter on the right hand, same side as the leg that's extended. And then start by floating the back toes off the ground. So chest and hips are still facing the earth to start. And then you're going to roll the right hip open and turn the right toes toward the long side of the mat. So the hip is what's driving the motion. So front of the hips down toward the ground, and then rolling the right hip to stack on top of the left. So perhaps one more, doing your best to lighten the load in the right hand or just be on the right fingertips, or perhaps right hand to the right hip. So front of the hips pointing in the direction that your chest is facing. And again, it's okay if you're wiggling and wobbling here. This is good practice for the standing version, which we will continue to do with blocks. And then make your way back to all fours. If you'd like a moment in child's pose, listen to what your body needs. And if you're ready to go right back to down dog, feel free to take a few breaths there. Wherever you're at, come back to your breath. If you're in down dog, you can add some movement by bending one leg, straightening the other. Maybe bending both legs and launching forward from plank to down dog a few times. And feel free to add those twists by bending one knee, pivoting the chest, peeking under the other arm. So either left knee bends, looking under the right arm, or the right knee bends, peeking under the left arm. Couple more breaths. And then go ahead and take a breath in, downward facing dog. And on the next inhale, bring feet and hands closer together. Find your forward fold, deep bend in the knees, belly might rest on the thighs here. Arms can cross at the elbows. And you can add a little sway, encouraging a little more traction in your spine. Do your best to relax your head and neck. Can be helpful to nod a little yes and no. And then we're going to release the arms and uncurl super slowly. So you make your way all the way to standing. Let's add those shoulder circles. Maybe just notice kind of the extra space you've created in the shoulders already. Taking it the other way. And take a breath in as you press into the feet, reach up through the fingers, and exhale, hands to your heart. We're adding our forward fold, deep breath in, reach up. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale to your half lift, hands on the shins with a nice flat back, or hands higher on the thighs so you can activate those muscles all along the spine. Another breath in, elongating from the head out the tail, and exhale as you refold. Inhale towards standing, reach up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart. I'm going to take it to a kneeling lunge next. Deep breath in, arms high. Exhale, fold once again. Inhale to your half lift, flat back. And then exhale, ground down with the hands. Step the right foot back and lower to the right knee. Take a moment to get a nice foundation here. So if you're tightrope walking with the feet, it's going to be way harder. Take that front foot perhaps a little wider. Hands might stay on the front side for stability. You can also reach both arms up by your ears. And as you exhale, cactus the arms, broaden your chest. Do that a few times. Inhale, reach up. You exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together at your back. Once again, inhale, reach. And exhale, open. This time, inhale, arms up. And then exhale, hands to your heart. Take a breath in, lift the chest. And then exhale, tilt forward for a moment, hover here. Now hook the right elbow on the outside of the front thigh. Turn toward you. You're going to press the arm into the leg, or maybe the forearm into the outer leg. Arms can either spread wide, or you can keep hands together at heart center. Notice how it feels to peek over the back shoulder. Do your best to keep pressing down through that front big toe as you lift the heart in toward your thumbs. Couple breaths here, bringing out the spine. And as you breathe in, we'll reach both arms up toward the sky. And then exhale, right hand comes down across from the front foot. Find either a kneeling twist or straighten the back leg and float the back knee. Gaze wherever feels best for your neck. And then exhale, release back to downward dog. You might come through hands and knees or straight to down dog. And here's an opportunity to just tune back into the body. Notice what you notice. No judging, just observe. With an inhale, gaze forward, step the right foot forward, back knee lowers, taking it to a kneeling lunge on the other side. Hands might stay on that front thigh with your chest lifted. You can also sweep the arms up by the ears. And as you exhale, palms face forward, elbows wide. Twice more, moving with the breath. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, cactus the arms. Once more, deep breath in. Exhale, open. This time, inhale, reach up. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Find that breath in to prepare. And then exhale, tilt forward. See if you can hover for a moment here. Activate the core. Then turn toward the front thigh. You might hook the left elbow on the outside of the front leg. And then press the palms together as you lift your chest. You can also hook the front arm and spread your arms like wings. Whichever you choose. Keep breathing. Maybe challenge the balance by closing the eyes or simply looking over the back shoulder. Doing your best to continue to breathe deep into the belly here, even in your twist. And then we're going to inhale, reach the arms up, face forward. Exhale, bring that left hand down across from the front foot. Arms can spread wide. Maybe the back knee lifts. Couple breaths here. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Deep breath in and breath out. Inhale the right leg up and back. And then option to keep the legs straight or bend at the knee and open the hips. Inhale, look forward, step your foot between your hands, spin the back heel down and find your warrior two. Arms gonna reach over your ankles. Let's bend and extend that front knee a few times. So inhale to straighten and reach high. Exhale, rebend. Again, inhale, reach up. Exhale, warrior two. Last one, inhale, reach. Exhale, return. From here, you're gonna float the front arm up and back for reverse warrior. Maybe peek down at the back foot and press into the pinky toe edge. Exhale to your extended side angle, forearm to your front thigh perhaps, top arm reaching up by your ear, chest peeling open. Just an option here. You might float that bottom arm, find your core, wake up here, lengthen through both sides of the body. And with an inhale, straighten the front leg, reverse triangle, reach up and back. Take another full breath. And then cartwheel the arms down, step back to your plank, maybe a moment to pause in your push-up. And then you can tap the knees here as you lower down to the belly. Find a back bend of your choice. I'll offer up Sphinx. For Sphinx, you're gonna have elbows directly under your shoulders. You're activating your legs by pressing the tops of the feet down. And you're trying to energetically pull yourself to the top of the mat. So we're not moving much, just feeling that sensation of trying to slither forward here. You can hold and breathe here. And if you've got blocks in your way, you might scooch the blocks out of the way for this one. Option to reach the arms out long and then float the legs as well. And as you exhale, cactus the arms, squeeze and lift the chest a little higher. Keep it going. Inhale, reach. Exhale, float. Inhale, nice and long. Exhale, squeeze those back muscles. One more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, float. And then take a moment on the belly, maybe hands as a pillow, legs relaxed. Head can rest on the back of the hands here. You can totally find a little wiggle in the hips. You know, some of you like to bend your knees and swish the legs side to side. You can also choose stillness and nice full belly breath for a moment. And then make your way back to downward facing dog to the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg up and back. Option to open the hips with that top leg straight or bent. Inhale, you look forward. Gently place the foot between the hands. Spin the back heel to the earth and rise to your warrior two. Nice. Add those lunges when you're ready. Straighten the front knee, reach the arms up. And then exhale back to warrior two. Continue. Inhale, reach. Exhale, return to your warrior. Once again, inhale, arms up. And exhale, return. Take a moment here. And then reverse your warrior. Reach up and back. Find that nice full breath. And then exhale to extended side angle, forearm on the front thigh, top arm by your ear. Really feel that nice long line from the back, heel through the top fingers. Just want to make sure we're still connected here. Okay, I think somebody got booted. That's okay. Hopefully you're still with me. We're going to come back up and reverse our triangle, 2 straight legs, reaching up and back. And then exhale all the way down to the ground. I'll meet you on the belly. Yeah. Once you land, you can take Sphinx again if you like, or perhaps Cobra or upward facing dog. Slow the breath down. There's a tendency to want to kind of crunch the back of the neck here and look forward. Instead, just gaze down at the earth. Maybe tuck the tailbone slightly, give the low back a little more space. Nice. And then this time, option to do a different back strengthening pose by lowering the chest to begin. You're going to start with cactusing the arms. You're going to reach one arm across to the opposite corner and then come back to your cactus. And then reach the other arm across to the other corner. Come back to the cactus, doing your best to keep your chest lifted. Keep it going. Reach across. Back to center. Other arm reaches across. And back to center. Once more each way. Reach. And reset. And reach. And reset. And then relax. And the palm. Wiggling the hip. Taking those nice full breaths. Maybe bending at the knees and swishing the legs. And then go ahead, make your way back to downward facing dog. And if you do have blocks within reach, now's a good time to set them up on their tallest setting, about shoulder wide near the top of the mat. Once you're in down dog, take a breath, maybe a deep breath out the mouth. As you inhale, let's float the right leg up and back. As you exhale, plant the foot between the hands. You're going to step the back foot in and then just rise all the way upright. So feet are about a stride length apart. Hands can be on the hips here, lifting the heart. And as you exhale, you're going to lead with the heart toward the toes. You can totally have a little bit of a bend in that front knee or a bigger bend if you need to. But we're keeping that big toe pressing down and right hip shifting back. So sometimes putting your thumb kind of in the right hip crease and encouraging it to shift back slightly can be helpful here. You can stay here. You can also float the arms by your sides, palms facing the ground. Take another breath. And then let's bring hands to the heart. You're going to start to shift your weight into that front foot and then float the back leg, kind of like the kneeling version here. Flex those toes down toward the ground. Hands might stay at the heart, or here you can totally use the support of blocks. You can also use a wall in front of you or a chair, whatever you've got. Notice if you can create kind of a T shape with the body here. And instead of dumping all the weight into the hands, try to keep it light, maybe even come onto the fingertips. You can peek back at those toes, make sure all 5 of them are pointing down toward the ground. And maybe hold it here, or find your half moon variation by keeping the right hand down. Make sure that block is slightly out in front of you. And then up to you. You might just lighten the load on the left hand. Think about rolling that top hip open, turning the top toes to the long edge of the mat. And or bringing the left hand to the left hip. Notice if you can float your chest a little higher. Make sure you're still breathing here. When you're ready to release, we're coming into a forward fold. Give yourself props for trying whatever happened or didn't go quite as planned. You can fold a little more deeply. Hands can be on blocks or on the earth. You might take a moment and a halfway lift, reaching the heart forward. before folding a little more deeply. And then slowly rise all the way up to standing. You can uncurl. Arms can reach up as you breathe in. And then exhale, hands to your heart. We're going to just take it to the other side now. So go ahead and step the right leg back if you're with me. So feet are about a stride length apart. Hands can start on the hips. Find that inhale, lift the chest. And as you exhale, tilt forward from the heart. Notice if you can encourage that left hip back slightly. And again, you can have a bend in that front knee. Big toe pressing down. Feel free to be here or float the arms by your sides, palms facing the ground. Long line all the way through the top of the head. And then here, where you might stay here, or you can start to bring hands to your heart. Shift your weight in toward the front foot and maybe start to float the back leg with the toes flex down toward the ground. Hands can stay at heart center. Or here, feel free to use that support of blocks, walls, chairs, whatever you've got. And then start by rotating the toes down toward the ground. So your hips, chest, and toes are all pointing to the earth. Really find that long body from head to toes. And if you want to play with your half moon here, left hand can stay grounded. So the block or whatever you're using is slightly to the top left corner of the mat. You might lighten the load in the other hand and then start to roll the floating hip over the standing leg. Toes now pointing to the long edge of the mat. And you can stay here. You can also bring the hand to the hip. See if you can float the chest a little higher. You're going to feel everything working in this position. And when you're ready to release, we'll try not to crash land here. Come into your forward fold. Take a breath. Option for your halfway lift one more time. And fold more deeply with your exhale. And if it feels good, you can use your peace fingers to hook onto your big toes. Maybe find a half lift once again. And as you exhale, bow the elbows wide and draw the crown of the head down toward the ground. Maybe nod a little yes, no, maybe so. And then you can release the toes, and however you want to arrive, we're going to come all the way to the ground with your bum on the earth. Maybe challenge yourself with or without the hands. And once you arrive, you can extend the legs out in front of you. Take a moment, maybe roll the ankles. You're doing a lot of work there. And then you're going to use your abdominals here to slowly uncurl one vertebrae at a time, all the way down to the ground. And once you arrive, you can slowly bring knees into your chest. And maybe rock a little from side to side. You can draw circles with the knees. It'd be especially nice to release the low back if it was working a little over time. Then we're going to bring the right knee in toward the right shoulder. So maybe the left foot stays on the ground. You can slide that leg straight. And take a second here to bring your right knee out wide. So that might mean holding on with just right hand, right leg. Other hand can come onto your hip or can come out wide. Feel free to add a few more ankle circles here if you like. We're going to take a twist. So I like to release the leg for a moment here. Scoot your hips a little to the right edge of your mat, and then take that right knee all the way across to the opposite side of the mat. If you've got blocks here, you can place a block underneath that floating leg. And you can also just let it be, doing your best to encourage your shoulder blades down toward the ground. And feel free to let your eyes start to soften and the breath slow back down. And take a few more intentional breaths in and out of your nose. Noticing where you can start to soften on the breaths out. As you breathe in, we're going to rewind onto our back. Reset with the option by bringing knees into your chest, rocking a little side to side. And then holding on to the left leg, bringing the left knee in toward the left shoulder, maybe straightening the other leg out long. Option to take that knee out a little wider and play with a few more ankle rotations. When you're ready to make the twist, you might release the left leg for a second, bump the hips over to the left side, and then make your twist. And this just helps kind of take the arch out of the low back and let the spine be more neutral. And that way you can twist and open up the chest, the hips, and find those full breaths into the deepest part of your lungs. Let there be a softening with each breath out. Maybe the eyes close for the remainder of our session. As you bring your awareness back to the sensation of your breathing. Maybe one or two more breaths here. And when you're ready, rewind onto your back. Option once again to bring knees into your chest. Maybe rock it out. Another option is to draw individual circles with the knees. You can take the knees away from you and then out wide, back in toward the chest. Continue using your hands to trace your thigh bones all the way around the hip joint. And after circling a few times one way, go ahead and rewind. And if you feel called to take a moment in Happy Baby, take those knees wide, lift the soles of the feet toward the sky. You might hold on to your hamstrings. Option to grab the inner shins, perhaps closer to the ankles. You can use your elbows here to press the knees open wider. Glue the tailbone down to the ground, and then maybe add that rocking motion. Can feel good here to play with straightening a leg, bending the other, lifting. And everyone might look a little different here. Do more what feels good to you than worry about how it looks. And once you feel complete, last bit of energy here is giving yourself a little love. Arms wrap around the legs, forehead to the knees. You might scrunch your face for a moment. You give yourself a nice squeeze. And then relax completely, finding your final Shavasana here. You can feel good to let the toes fall open away from each other. Arms can come down by your sides. Palms can rotate to face the sky. And take one more full breath. And let it all go. And perhaps take this opportunity to tune back into the body. Feel the heaviness at the back of the head. Notice if you can unfurrow your brows. Perhaps unclench your jaw. You find a heaviness in your shoulders, down the arm. You start to feel the heaviness in your hip all the way into your heel. Let yourself just be open to receive all the beautiful benefits of your practice and to soak up this precious present moment. I'll let you be in stillness and quiet. I'll let you know when it's time. You can slowly take a deeper breath into the belly. Begin to wiggle your fingers, toes. Perhaps start to circle the wrists and ankles. Maybe take that full body stretch, the nice deep breath. And if it feels good to you, bend one knee and then the other. Take a second to just roll over to one side. Maybe pause there with your eyes closed. And then transition back to your seat. And we'll close our practice with one more breath all together. Go ahead and lengthen through your spine as you empty the lungs completely. Take a fresh breath in through the nose, hands to the heart, and let your breath go. Thank you all for continuing to share your practice. Until next time, namaste.